am Sondra Samuels, President and CEO of the Northside Achievement Zone, and I am so happy that you are here. Thank you so much for coming. And I just thank everybody who spoke today, everybody in the audience. I mean, this is just such an amazing gathering. I'm actually going to leave my speech because Ravi and Rhonda and the mayor and everybody has just fired me up. But I'm going to hit all my points. And I got to tell you, I am excited. And I want to thank everybody. I want to especially thank my family, Don Samuels, who we've been Northsiders for 21 years and wouldn't live anywhere else. And I want to thank our friend Marcus and my daughter Amani Samuels, who are lifelong Northsiders at the ripe old teenage years they have lived. And I just thank you so much for being here. We have made North Minneapolis our home, and we wouldn't be anywhere else because we love America, and we know that North Minneapolis is a place where Americans are made, where we get to go there and, like Robbie said, actually be community that knows that we need each other. And we need each other like crazy right now so that we can create communities like Wakanda. And everybody's seen it, you know, Wakanda was a utopia, and for African Americans, it was a utopia of black excellence before colonialism, before racism, before isolation, before the things that are happening in too many communities in our state. And so we've come together, and this is a perfect time. Somebody said to me, how do you feel about the luncheon, going to the luncheon, are you ready? And I said, yeah, I'm ready. It's time for us to come together. Once a year, we get to come and spend time talking about our one future. Once a year, we come as this community and we talk about our one future. And we have a moral crisis right now. We have to figure out who we are. And I got to tell you, T'Challa, the king of Wakanda, gave an amazing, amazing speech in the movie. Do you all remember that speech? Where he said, now more than ever, the illusions of division threaten our very existence. We all know the truth that more connects us than separates us. Both in times of crisis, the wise build while the foolish build barriers. We must find a way to look after one another as if we were a single tribe. And today, I know you all are feeling with all that's happening in our country that more than ever, we have to come together to know that we are a single tribe. I know you're feeling what happened in Pittsburgh. And I want our Jewish brothers and sisters to know that we know, we see, we feel, we are one tribe. I think you heard about what happened in Kentucky with the two African Americans who were gunned down, and with the gentleman's 12-year-old son watching. African Americans here and in Kentucky, I want you to know that we are with you. We are one tribe. And I know that you've heard about the bombings and all the things that have gone on. And I mean, I also think of the tent city for our Native brothers and sisters, for them to know we see them. We see that over 300 people are there homeless with no place to call home, where there is hopelessness and addiction. And they need to know that we too see them and feel it, and we are one tribe. That's what we're here today to talk about. And it's really relevant to the Northside Achievement Zone because that's what we are trying to create. You had Amy and Paul stand up here, two different organizations, and tell you that they are part of this collaborative. They are part of this one tribe. We know that we need each other, and we know that NAS works. People keep saying, Sondra, prove the model. Doesn't it cost too much? And I got to ask you, because we have 40 organizations, and does it work? We have 40 organizations that have come together as one tribe. We've put aside our egos, and we've put our children and families directly at the center. And we know that family and children don't come in pieces. So the housing organizations, the health organizations, the early childhood, K through 12, after school, summer, colleges, career, have all come together to create one system of support around all the families in a neighborhood, in North Minneapolis, in a place. And all of the studies are showing that this model of neighborhood, of lifting a neighborhood, is the best financial bet. I don't know if you've all read David Brooks in New York Times, but David talks about that neighborhoods are the unit of change. I don't know if you've read the New York Times article that talked about how, here's the thing, that we can actually predict now. So researchers at Harvard and at Berkeley, we can predict now, and it has been mapped. And if you could put the map up for me, I would appreciate that. We can predict based on a child's zip code and census tract and the block they live on today, the neighborhood they're in today, how much money they will make in 25, 30 years. That you can put in the zip codes, you can map it. People are going crazy across the country because so much money has been put in neighborhoods and nobody's been able to say, does it make a difference? Did it impact a neighborhood, a community? Neighborhoods matter. Wakanda mattered. And we at NAS can prove that it works. We have the database. We are looking at our kids from kindergarten all the way through college and career to say the investment that we're going to ask you to make today, that it is making a difference. But this is one of the charts that I want you to take a look at. And anybody who wants it, we're going to actually have a session about this. But this is showing the Jordan and near North area. As you can see that map, it's kind of covering up where the NAS office is. And this is showing that a black child born where our office is will, when they're adults, make $19,000 a year. $19,000. Okay, can we go to the next one? This one shows that for white children growing up in North Minneapolis, right by our office, that they will, when they become, now these are all poor children, by the way. They're all poor, so that's the one thing that we are that they study in common. That they would grow up and make $32,000 a year. And then the next one, I wanted to contrast that with Bryn Mawr, that doesn't have a whole heap of black folks in it, but it's just 3.9 miles away from the office. And this is saying that a white child born in Bryn Mawr will make $56,000 a year when they're an adult. So this is, I'm sorry? Poor white children. When they're adults, that's my husband helping me out. So this data is so radical, and it suggests that neighborhoods matter. And what we do in neighborhoods matter, from early childhood all the way through. And at the Northside Achievement Zone, we have decided to de-silo, to put together these supports. And they're the same supports all of us in here have done for our own children. How many of you put your children in high-quality early learning centers, or you stayed home? How many children made sure they got into great schools? How many made sure they got into after school and summer programs and camps, and that you got them the health care that they needed? And then you worked with them to get into the colleges they wanted to get into. And if they had any emotional, mental health needs, you made sure you got them into a therapist. Anybody do all that for your children? So it takes all that, and that costs a little money. And that's what we're doing at NAS. We are doing all that across all of our partners, and it's working. In your handout, in your brochures there around the thing today, it talks about some of our results, and I'm just going to highlight a few that I am excited about and then kind of bring this thing to a close. Again, place matters, place matters, place matters. So I am excited by the fact that, as you can see here, scholars that are in NAS are outperforming comparable Northside students in MCAs in reading 3rd through 8th grade. Wilder Foundation said that the difference between NAS scholars who are getting all of this support, the layering that our partners and staff are providing, that they are doing statistically significantly better than the scholars who are not. Because we don't just have a school strategy. Like Amy said, Nellie Stone Johnson is doing much better because of our partnership, but it's not just about the schools. The schools can't do it alone. It's also about them having a decent place to live. It's also about them having a living wage job. It's also about being in a high-quality early learning center. It's also about getting supports for trauma. Those are all the things that we're doing. This is what's making the difference. The statistics also show, and it's not here, that the layering effect, that more than one NAS strategy is also producing statistically significant differences in NAS scholars and non-NAS. And then you can see with the anchor schools that the NAS scholars are 50 to 75% more likely to be proficient in math and reading than most other kids in other anchor schools. And then you can see all of the families that are going back to work and attending our expanded learning programs and receiving specialized supports in housing. I mean, we know that it makes a difference. And one outcome that I really love, all of our families do achievement plans with their family achievement coach. Most families get family achievement coaches who work with them. You met LaToya earlier. And they set goals. The one goal that had the highest number of achieving families that were achieving it, both families and scholars, in FY18 was a parent saying, I will work directly with my child in his or her school to improve their outcomes. That was a goal. Like over 400 families completed that goal. And then the scholars had a goal. I will increase my academic outcomes this school year. I will accelerate it. And over 400 scholars also met that goal, while other ones were working on it. These are the kind of conversations that we're having in community. These are the kind of things that are transforming our hopefulness of what we can do, because we understand. By the way, if anything, with all that's happening today and all the pain that we've been experiencing, if you are not woke, I hope you're woke now. And that wokeness is around us needing each other. We can't be strong in North Minneapolis without you, and you can't be strong wherever you live without us. There is a mutuality. There is a mutuality. And in closing, I want to, again, NAS is working, neighborhoods matter, and not just the neighborhoods. I want you to get that it's not just the people. By the way, the study found it wasn't a people problem. It was a structural and policy problem that creates unequalness in neighborhoods. These kids the white poor kids had more opportunities than the black poor kids. And the structures and barriers, that's the other thing NAS is working on collectively to pull down. So in closing, I'm finally reminded of a quote being shared in light of the recent tragedies. And it's by the iconic lover of children, Mr. Rogers, who happened to have lived just down the block from the Tree of Life Synagogue, where our brothers and sisters were murdered. And I also want to remember, by the way, the 4 police officers who were wounded. I want to acknowledge our brothers and sisters in blue who try to protect us every day, that they were shot and wounded in that as well. I forgot to mention that. But Mr. Rogers said, when I was a boy, I would see scary things in the news. My mother would say to me, look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping. To this day, especially in our times of disaster, I remember my mother's words. I'm always comforted by realizing that there are still so many helpers, so many caring people in the world. And I would submit to you that the Northside Achievement Zone, we are a bunch of helpers, of parents, partners, scholars, staff, and we have figured out a way to be there and to look out for each other as one single tribe. And as we continue to look for helpers out there, again, we need each other. History does have its eyes on us. And I want to ask you, when history looks back at us and our generation, what will it say about us? What will our children say, and children of the world? If you're like me, I want to be able to say I did everything I could as part of the tribe so that we don't have inequity and disparities just because of someone's race. And I believe that if you came here today, you want that too.